There's people who are in service to some form of a transpersonal dimension there that's really incorporating something much more than just what's happening on this physical plane. So with that comes this interesting situation where the more we start to be more curious and start seeking out these experiences, the more we use those experiences as the method in which we actually wish to uncover more and more and more about ourselves. There's a fine line there, and you bring this up. We start to use those experiences as the answer instead of taking the space between. And the space between is that integration. It's that process of not being in any form of an altered state, but being with the self, which is the hardest thing sometimes to do, is to be with oneself in reality, in this reality, right? And not to go and escape. And I see oftentimes sort of a premature spiritual awakening happening with a lot of individuals who do a lot of ceremonies, and they come out of it, seeking more and more of that, but they're not actually sitting with the stuff that's coming up, because things come up and they take time to come up. I look at nature as sort of a teacher for integration. It's a big part of my work. And when we think of the natural world and the cycles of life, nothing happens overnight. This is an inherently human phenomena we're in this society where we press a button and something works. Where in nature does anything happen within a second, right? Things need to uncover and unfold. We need to give time for the process to actually happen. And so this sort of spiritual bypass, as I like to call it, that you mention, is important part of this integration conversation, to make sure we're not unconsciously or consciously engaging in this sort of bypassing of the self for true awakening and transformation.
I'm curious what you said about the dimensions and how many dimensions are there, and what does it mean to be connected?
What does it mean to be connected?
To which dimension do we connect to? And
Yeah, well, we can have like a very long philosophical conversation of different realms and dimensions. I will say that something I teach with integration is actually there's 4 specific dimensions that I look at, and I try and see somebody's experience, the lenses in which they experience the world and how they integrate. It's the physical, mental, emotional, and transpersonal or spiritual dimension. And so these are the 4 that I normally work with. They're obviously very connected to the self and to our relationship to ourselves within those realms. And then they can obviously be amplified to how we relate with others and to the natural world, which for me is the ultimate way of connecting. How are we actually connected is to realize that we are not separate from the environment that we live in. We are not separate from, I am not separate from you, you are me. I am that tree is me. We are all of this. And how we can experience that connection is through, obviously, our physical body as a very important vessel that we often, I think, maybe put to the side when we're integrating. When we're reaching psychedelic states in particular, we're very focused on these mind-based journeys. We're going out of our minds. We're having hallucinations. These experiences are really activating that realm. And the physical body can often be sort of secondary, when in fact it's something that we inhabit as humans, right? We have a duty to bring the physical realm back to that experience. And then, of course, the emotional body is important for us, and the cognitive dimension. And depending on somebody's worldviews, that spiritual element can be very important for somebody's journey with altered states.
Hmm.